I want to bring in now, for a perspective from the Hill, the fourth highest ranking Republican in the House, Conference Chair and Washington Congresswoman Cathy McMorris-Rodgers. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us here. And let me start off picking up on the thread that we've been talking about. Are you confident? Are you committed to bringing this bill to a full House vote next week? Is that still the timeline?
Yes, we are confident. We are committed. We're on track. We've been working this through a very open, transparent process. Last week, it was through the committees, over 27 hours on Energy and Commerce, on which I serve, on the Health, as well as the Ways and Means Committee. This week in the budget, we're listening to a lot of different people, getting their input. But at the end of the day, we believe this is very important. It's very important that we rescue people that are facing, in 2017, 25% on average increase in their premiums. Networks continue to close. 1 out of 3 counties in America only have one plan available to them. That's part of the urgency in taking action to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that people have better health care.
You've talked about the urgency. House leadership has talked about it. You've talked about, I think you said at the press conference, that Republicans are basically united here on a rescue mission when it comes to repealing and replacing Obamacare. But by our count, as we've been talking about, there's roughly 20, maybe, House Republicans who are saying no, and among them, people who were saying yes, right? I'm thinking of New Jersey Congressman Leonard Lance, who was on our show and said he was for the bill. The CBO score came out. He says he's not. Is there an acknowledgement on your part that there is a problem here, that this bill has to go through some serious changes before it can pass?
We are united. United under the goal. We're united around a goal
but the
that we
devil's
want
in the details,
to.
right?
Yes. So we're working through the details. But we are very close. We're in those final discussions right before we go to Rules Committee, go to the floor. Right. Certainly, this is part of the legislative process. As you draft the specifics of a particular bill, and then you hear from people, and then you take action. But it's just part of the legislative process. This is very common, and I'm proud of the fact that we are doing this in an open, transparent way so that people can have their ideas heard.
What might be the biggest change that folks might see between what the bill looks like now, what it might look like next week when it comes to the floor?
Oh, you know, we're working on that. We want to make sure that Medicaid works right. Encouraging the innovative approaches at the state level, which we believe that will lead to better outcomes for people. Really focusing Medicaid on getting results, not just on the amount of money that is going into it, but the flexibility that will lead to better results. We're looking at the tax credits and how they're structured to make sure that individuals that are seeking health insurance in that individual market are going to be able to have a choice of plans and be able to afford the plans that are made available to them. And so it's all part of meeting our goals to ensure that people have lower premiums, they have more choices, there's more plans available, and it's just part of making that happen.
Who's going to get this over the finish line, if you will? Does it have to be, as you heard us talking earlier, is President Trump going to have to be the closer here?
We've been working all along with President Trump, with Vice President Mike Pence, with the Senate, the House. This has been weeks, months in the negotiation and in the process, and we're going to continue to work with them. I do believe it is very important that the country is hearing the details, that the country becomes more informed as to what this bill actually does. There's been a lot of characterization. There's been a lot of fear about what the bill does and does not do. And so I think Republicans must educate America. And I believe that as people become more informed, they are going to be excited about this new direction on health care. That means a better health care program for everyone in this country.
As we're talking about the president's role here, Congresswoman, obviously the other big headline coming out of the White House is his refusal to back down off of his claim President Obama had Trump Tower wiretapped. There has been, according to top Republican lawmakers now, no evidence of this, zero evidence, zero sign he's going to back off. He's kind of on an island. In your view, does the president have a credibility problem?
I think, we've answered this question. Devin Nunes, Adam Schiff, they're the leaders on the Intelligence Committee. They're continuing to look at wiretapping, leak issues, especially as it relates to Russia. I don't believe that we've seen the evidence yet, but that's really up to the president to present what he found, what he believed, and then for us to take action to investigate and to see what we can find out, too.
Respectfully, Congresswoman, and I take your point. I'm not asking about the evidence question. I'm asking the credibility question. Do you think the president has a credibility problem?
It's for the president to share what he felt when he made that that point. For us, it is to investigate, and the Intelligence Committee has been doing its work. To date, we have not found that evidence, but that's really up to the president.
Do you still trust him?
I do trust. I trust President Donald Trump, and I'm excited about his leadership, shaking it up. He's challenging the status quo in this town, and I think it's really an opportunity for us as Americans to think big, reimagine this government, and return it to the people.
One more question before I let you go. I want to talk a little bit about the budget, because this is the other big thing coming your way. As you know, it's already come your way, this budget blueprint. We saw Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, somebody that you know, obviously, from his time on the Hill, talking about the idea that, and I'm going to paraphrase him here, that we can't spend money on programs just because they sound good. That said, this budget has gotten some flack, right, from people who say, how can you cut Meals on Wheels? How can you cut some of these programs that will help people who need it most? How do you respond to that criticism? And do you see changes coming on the Hill, given that it's Congress that actually authorizes federal spending?
Sure. I think, well, yes, there will be changes to the budget. What the president proposes is a blueprint. The president has made his priorities very clear, and he believes at this time it has to be our top priority to put more money in defense, more money in national security. This is the #1 priority of the federal government. He is taking some, he's put together a budget that will not add to our deficit, which I think is very important. I think the president is also challenging us to rethink the way that we do some of these programs, how some of these agencies operate, and to return as much decision-making and money to the local level as possible. And I think as we do that, you will see better outcomes, you will see better results, and more accountability, and dollars spent in a way that are really going to make a difference in communities as people, individuals, as communities keep more of those dollars at the local level to begin.
Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've had a very busy day. We appreciate it. Coming up, we're taking a look at